All right, we are here. Well, Arnab, welcome. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to chat with you. We're here with Arnab Bose, the Chief Product Officer of Asana, and he's spilling some tech tea with us. Arnab, I heard you have a big product launch to announce.
Yeah, absolutely. We are super excited here at Asana to launch Asana AI Teammates. These are collaborative teammates that are designed to get work done end-to-end for our key user profiles, like folks in marketing, IT, and operations. We have about 21 AI teammates that are pre-built and ready to go. And the big difference between our AI teammates and some of the other AI hype you might be hearing about is that these teammates are truly multiplayer and collaborative. They support multiple human beings engaging with them. They have this concept called shared memory for building true agentic memory. And I'm happy to dive into them, and
Well,
sort of
I'm
talk
going to
about
stop
more
you
about
right
that.
there
Yeah.
because I want to fully understand this.
Yeah.
So we have Asana. Say I'm an organization with Asana now.
Yeah.
How does my life change with teammates?
So our thesis is that teammates supercharges your team. Like it literally is like having a coworker who works nights and weekends, who's trained on the unique ways in which your team gets their work done.
Got it.
And has full enterprise context to get up and running. So your life changes because you can then elevate yourself above the toil of constructing campaign briefs from scratch or doing all the hard work of putting together a launch plan. You can think about how you can be more strategic, how you can be a tastemaker, and we want to elevate all the human employees working on these projects to being those tastemakers, to thinking about the strategic differentiation, and to elevating themselves above doing the toil.
I love that. I mean, that's what it's ultimately about, in my opinion. It's about us deploying our agents, but also deploying our judgment.
That's right.
That's what we have, and the agents do the rest.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a big conversation here in Silicon Valley about what model's the best, this model did that, this. But I've heard from you that that's actually the wrong question to be asking. So what is the right question when it comes to AI models?
So AI models have been getting amazingly good over the last 6 months, and every 90 days or so you see some phenomenal improvement coming from one of the frontier labs, and I think they're only going to keep getting better. But quickly what we're seeing is the problem that's holding enterprises back from achieving real value is that you have to get really good at providing these AI agents and these LLMs with the right context, not only about the job to be done, but also that's specific to your enterprise. And then you also have to coordinate the output of those agents with human beings who ultimately have to be the tastemakers, the people who are applying judgment. So I'll break down the workflow in 2 buckets and so to highlight where the friction lies. Lots of talk over the last few months about how you can build these amazing personal productivity agents using OpenClaw or whatnot. But basically,
are you about to hate on OpenClaw? Because I'm here for that.
I think OpenClaw is amazing, but again, I'm in technology and I understand how it works, and I'm sort of deeply ingrained in exactly how you would create these markdown files and how you'd give it access to all these local resources. But if you take that work and you expect every single knowledge worker across every single enterprise across the world to start figuring out how they would do it themselves, you're talking about a significant scaling issue. And you're also talking about a challenge where you have no way to guarantee outcomes and a certain level of quality in terms of how those agentic experiences are set up. So there's a historical sort of context about how your company has always run marketing campaigns, what the bar is in terms of the briefing template and the language and tone to be used. All of that construct has to be fed into the AI agent every single time for every single human being in order for them to become productive. So there's a context problem there where there's a context graph. People have written about this, but AI agents don't yet have access to the full context graph. We are changing that with Asana AI Teammates because, interestingly enough, Asana was built on this concept of the work graph, and we've had a work graph for over a decade. And all of the business processes that are modeled in Asana are directly modeled in this work graph. So every task is in a project which has a set of team members, and you can have the project parented to a portfolio that has a goal associated with it. And so all of those things that were happening manually 4 or 5 years ago, all of those business processes can now be leveraged by AI agents to learn how your enterprise works to accomplish a job end to end. and really join your team as a true teammate. So the first problem is the context problem. The second problem really is a coordination problem. So again, like let's say you've gotten your context setting like amazingly great, like you know exactly how to use these like local files and pull down stuff, and you're a Claude Code expert and you're doing all of these cool things. Well, what happens when you take that result and you share it out with the 5 other human team members who have to sign off on it, who have to review it, who have to provide feedback? Well, now you're basically creating this sort of network issue where they don't know exactly what your research plan was. They haven't seen the initial prompt. They haven't seen the back and forth you've had with the AI agent. So they can't be certain that the output that they're seeing is meeting the right quality bar. Perhaps they're using AI agents themselves to go ahead and review the quality, and they're giving you feedback. So now you have this like multi sort of connected graph where people are going back and forth, and it's creating probably more noise. And there's been some writing recently about how in the software development cycle, the PR review process is becoming the choke point, because the engineers who have to be the tastemakers, who have to hold the quality bar, are now getting like completely swamped by all of these like agentic PRs that are coming their way. And theoretically, like that problem is going to come to every single knowledge worker in the industry, regardless of industry going forward.
So you're saying that you almost need a bottleneck that you can create at scale, but how do you bottleneck and control it, essentially?
Correct. How do you control it? How do you sign off on it? How do you approve it? And the way we work is those approvals are fundamentally multiplayer by nature, right? And so the way
and that's where the coordination comes in.
That's where the coordination comes in. So when you use an Asana AI Teammate, the first thing is that it's getting all of this work graph context by default. It's the documents and images attached to your previous tasks. It's how previous tasks like campaigns or project launches were run in the past by human teammates. So it learns from them from the get-go. You're not having to become this amazing sort of prompt engineer / person who knows how to create all this like local stuff. It's very easy to understand because it's the way in which you've always worked. The second thing is once it produces its research plan, once it starts producing its content, multiple people, multiple humans can give it feedback, and it remembers that feedback across runs.
Got it.
And so the second or third time you can leverage our content strategist or IT ticket deflecting agent, you can be certain that it's remembered the guidance you gave it, and not just you as an individual, but the entire team.
Got it.
So it's like onboarding a new sort of college hire or MBA grad onto your team and having them get trained in minutes, not weeks, on your processes, and then having them get trained in days, not months, on how to get it done right.
And this would be different. Of course, you have different teammates for different needs, but this would also be different across organizations, right? So this is completely customizable.
Completely customizable.
And people own it. Now, I love this kind of trio you had talked to me about earlier, which is context, coordination, and governance. And I think that's the third part of this, right? Like what are the parameters? Like how do I ensure that these agents are within, my security protocols or needs? Like, is that something?
Exactly. So when you add an agent into the system, you're deciding at what level of the project to add them into. And because they model like a person, you can literally see that this content strategist AI agent or this like campaign brief AI agent is in this project. So it's extremely transparent, and you know that they only have access to that. We also have role-based access controls around who should be the manager for that agent. So let's say there's a team lead who runs all your campaigns. That person and maybe one other person could be the manager for the agent. They get to provide that agent with custom instructions, additional sources of data like specific files and folders within Google Drive or Office 365, as well as they get to review the agent's memories. So this is pretty interesting as well. Like because the agent has shared memories, it means that humans interacting with it can give it guidance. And it remembers that no matter who else is asking it the question, as long as that human has access to that teammate. So as the manager of the agent, you can then go back and be like, hey, Arnab asked the agent to go ahead and look at this particular briefing template, but he's new to Asana. He doesn't actually know that that's from the style guide we used in 2025. We have a new 2026 guide. So you can go and delete that memory, and then it'll forget about it, and you can get a new one. So the security, there's also like this concept of control and management. And finally, there's also a concept of like, how much is this agent costing you? And so we have a very easy to understand model that is per user based initially, but there are thresholds as well that you can hit, and so you can sort of get a sense for are you getting close to the threshold? If you're well under, no worries, but if you are, then it might incur a cost. We want to make sure that the agents are not only easy to use and deploy with value, but you also get this sense of trust in them, that you can trust them from a security perspective as well as a cost
that they can
perspective.
replicate the job properly within parameters. Okay, so now what is your favorite AI teammate?
Well, my favorite AI teammate is a teammate I built myself. It's called the Product Org Thought Buddy.
Okay.
And so it's a really interesting one that helps me kind of triage my day, because what I did was, we have a full plan for the year in terms of our overall product strategy. We recently had Asana kickoff, which is our internal company kickoff, and we rolled out a new agentic enterprise narrative. Our company has a set of operating principles that we operate under. So I've provided that agent with all of those sources of context, and it obviously follows me around and sort of sees what projects I work in and what kind of feedback I give my team. So now, when I'm getting prepared for a product review, I take the either the slide deck or the document or the prototype that's been created for the product review, and I feed it to the Thought Buddy, and it uses my existing sort of operating principles and strategy to create a structured way to run that review.
That's cool.
And again, I'm obviously still providing, I have a job, right? So otherwise I would have worked myself out of it. I'm still the thought leader, I'm still the tastemaker, but instead of entering a conversation from scratch and going over the basics, the team is already getting that feedback via the pre-read. They can clean all that stuff up to meet the minimum bar. And then we can really spend that hour getting deep on the differentiation, the why we win, where's the alpha, and the taste-making aspects of it.
I mean, I think that actually brings us to a point that I know my audience is, always thinking about, I'm always thinking about, and it's a little bit of a hot take, which is AI really taking these jobs? And look, I like how you framed it, but I think there's a fear. So what would you tell people? Okay, AI teammates, does that mean that's replacing a real teammate? How should someone think about that?
I think folks should look at AI as an enabling technology and figure out how can they use it to go from being Tony Stark to Iron Man, right? So
nerd reference, but I think I got that. Okay, I think I got that.
So I think if that is your mindset and the way in which you adopt it, and you stay current with all of the latest tools and technology out there to become even more effective in your role, you'll start elevating yourself above the day-to-day grind and the road, and start delivering outsized impact. And if you're delivering outsized impact, then people will want to work with you.
Exactly.
And you'll always have a role to play in the enterprise or wherever else you want to work. So I think that's the mindset we should expect people to have. If you are concerned or scared about the technology, you don't want to adopt it, you want to stick with the existing ways of working, well, that's a challenge. I think some of the things that required a lot of people, a lot of time to do reviews and initial drafts and things like that, those are getting easier and easier to automate. And so I look at it as an opportunity to do more. Yeah.
I mean, also, we've talked about this, but I think work as we know it is changing, and it's your choice. Do you want to get left behind, or do you want to be part of the change? And the conversations I've had with Asana, you guys are kind of leading that conversation. It's an important conversation to have. We can't run from it.
That's right.
Running from it doesn't solve the problem, right? So let's actually think about how these tools can supercharge our work and our strengths as humans. As humans. So I guess on that note, let's zoom out a bit. A lot of the fear, a lot of the talk right now, again, here in San Francisco, actually globally, has been this SaaSpocalypse. And I get frustrated with the narrative because it's like, dude, not everyone wants to be a software company. No offense to Asana, but totally. So let's dig into that, right? So the theory is that AI is coming for software, and now that people can vibe code and use AI tools, well, no one really needs a software company. So I want to ask you that question. What is a software company good for? And what are the values and value adds that you bring in an AI world?
Perfect. So let me just break it down into two parts. So one is why would a normal enterprise or normal business not want to vibe code their operating software.
Yeah.
Because again, like
that's a crazy sentence.
Like
you saying that is like, it's crazy.
So like
to me.
maybe I'm legitimizing the idea
No,
by
but
saying it, but I think it's
that's
useful
what
to
people are saying.
it's useful to say it in a very flat way and then sort of talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, in that scenario, what are you doing? You're taking on the challenges of running that particular product that might be critical for your business to perform, but it's not your business. For example, like an email service or a chat service is maybe not critical to a business that is a logistics company or a pharmaceutical company, but you're taking on the cost of running that at 99.99% or higher uptime, reliability entirely on yourselves. Using a vibe-coded platform that maybe doesn't have all of the sort of telemetry data and ways in which you would go ahead and have one of these built-out tools going to run itself. So there's one part of it which is uptime reliability. The second is like who's maintaining that product going forward. There's going to be additional features. There's going to be incremental enhancements. It might seem like the way in which you use Slack or Gmail hasn't changed much in the last like 5 years, but if you go back and look at the features they released, there's a significant number of features they've released like every month for the last few years. So who's going to go back and keep up the pace with that? From a security perspective as well, like you are getting a service which is multi-tenant SaaS. It's hardened across tens of thousands of enterprises in most of these cases. Those engineering teams have seen the issues that can get caused, and they're constantly patching them and keeping them up to standard and up to spec. Are you taking on the cost of going ahead and doing that?
Exactly.
Are you taking on the cost of figuring out what is the right next set of features to build and doing the product research and the design work to go make it amazing? So hopefully that's all we need to say about like vibe coding your own SaaS tools.
Well, I almost think that your framework applies here. It's context, coordination, and governance. Like, can you vibe code that framework? Not very easily. And also, like, who's going to do that? Like, you might as well, like, do you want to hire an in-house software team to build all of these frameworks when you actually have experts doing it? Like,
that's right.
I'm always like, this is what, economies of scale and allocation of resources are for. Like, this is why like the economy exists. Like
100%. Yeah, this is exactly the reason why. And I mean, you use a bunch of analogies, right? Like, sure, it's theoretically possible for you to grow all your own produce, but would you want to do that?
Right. I could have a farm in my backyard, but like exactly.
So that's one part of it. I think that idea that the SaaS valuations are going to tank because over time no one's going to need a product; they'll just build their own. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think that there is a really interesting challenge for existing SaaS companies that have been built in the era of systems of record with workflows that are tied to a seat-based license, and we should be direct about that. Like, that model is being upended by the AI native companies out there. The AI native companies out there are still SaaS companies, but what they're doing is they're taking a look at the jobs to be done and they're reimagining them from an agentic perspective. Like, what if we could go ahead and eliminate these manual data entry steps completely versus have an AI tool that does a review step for you or does a summary for you? So I think that model where there could be newer software companies that enter a market and come in with a totally different perspective that is highly modern, highly optimized for leveraging the full power of AI, given the fact that the cost of writing new code is going down with these new agentic coding tools, that disruption is real.
Yeah.
And so I think the call to action for all of us is to figure out, okay, all of us in the technology space is, are we building the foundations for the agentic enterprise? Are we building it in a differentiated way? And are we building it in the fastest possible way to market? If you're hitting yeses on all those three things, then it kind of doesn't matter if you've been around for 10 years or if you're a new company, you'll be fine. But if you're not hitting those three things, then that is a challenge. Yeah. So I think that is the truth in the narrative, which is the ability to write new code is becoming easier and easier. So the question becomes like, what code are you writing? And is it aligned with the agentic enterprise, and is it fast enough?
Completely. Like everything is lowered down to the lowest common denominator. So how do you actually start building for enterprises on top of that?
That's right.
Okay, so I mean, I think, is it fair to say you can't vibe code Asana?
I think it's fair to say you can't vibe code Asana. Yeah, I'll stand by that. Yes.
Hot take. Okay, Arnab, now I want to dig into this tea style. So we want you to spill the real tech tea on Teammates. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to do a rapid fire round with a couple questions. This one's easy. How did you use Teammates today?
So I used AI Teammates to get ready for my board presentation tomorrow. It gave me a fully structured plan that's aligned with our operating principles and also knows exactly what I've been working on. So it helped me get really precise about highlighting to the board how you're going to differentiate next quarter and in the coming year.
So if you mess up, it's on the teammate, not on you.
That's partly true. I think the board will still hold me accountable.
Okay, so there's a lot of good competition out there.
Yep.
What's so special about Teammates and Asana?
I think the biggest differentiator of Asana's Teammates is the fact that they work in multiplayer mode. It means you get to train an agent once and the entire team can use the agent. And it has this really unique quality called shared memory, which means it's working on behalf of many people at the same time, and it truly understands how your enterprise works.
One agent, multiple teams.
One agent, multiple teams, multiple people. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, this is a little bit of a hot tea take. You know there's a narrative out there. Is AI taking away jobs? What do you say?
My thesis is that AI helps everybody turn from Tony Stark to Iron Man. Like, take a look at what you can get done with the power of AI. You can get a lot more done, you can reduce toil, and you can elevate yourself to being that tastemaker, to thinking about the long-term strategic outcomes, the differentiator you'd bring to the world. So I say embrace it with both arms because it's going to help you elevate yourself and elevate your game.
Can you vibe code Asana?
Absolutely not.
Okay, final hot tea take. What's the future of work?
Obviously, Asana is the future of work. You can model any business-critical workflow in Asana, and then with the power of Asana's AI Teammates, you can get up and running and actually start executing on those tasks and get things done.
Obviously, Asana is the future of work. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Check out Teammates if you haven't, and thanks so much for sitting down with us, Arnab.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.